Okay, now that we've multiplied monomials, the next thing is pretty obvious. We're going to go ahead and divide them. All right, so dividing monomials just means taking a monomial and dividing by another one. That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to start out with just some numbers. Okay, so we have 3 times 2 times 4 divided by 2 times 6. The first thing that happens is we can cross the 2's out, right? Okay, that's the first thing we're going to do. The second thing we can do is take the 6 divided by the 3 to get the 2 on the bottom. Now we're left with 4 divided by 2, which is 2. So again, the original problem was 3 times 2 times 4 over 2 times 6. I'm showing you that when you're dividing a bunch of things multiplied on top and bottom, you can cross divide. Okay, that's a lesson that we've learned in Algebra Part 1. So when you're multiplying monomials, you can do the same thing. Okay, you can basically divide, each component on the top by components on the bottom, and that's going to give you your final answer. So with a monomial, what we're going to do is we're going to divide the numbers first, or the coefficients, and then divide the variables, much like we cross divide here. Same concept. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first example. We have negative 3x squared divided by 9x cubed. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is simplify the numerical fraction. What that means is take the top coefficient or constant and divide by the bottom coefficient or constant. Now there's a shortcut here. Like I told you guys before, you can take the bigger number and divide the smaller and put your answer on the part of the fraction where the bigger number is. 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3. Since 9 is bigger, we're going to put the negative 3 down there. That's it for the first step. That's all you have to do. And since constants always come before variables, you pretty much don't have to reorder anything here. Next step is to arrange the variables alphabetically so that they all line up so we can easily divide them. In this case, we only have x, so we don't have to do that, but we will do it in a future example. Then we're going to divide the like bases. We've already done this before, but the 3 is bigger than the 2, so we can do 3 minus 2 and put the 1 down here. But x to the first is just x, so the answer there is just x. Okay? So we divided the numbers and we divided the like bases. Final step is to simplify. Now, when you have a negative in a fraction, normally what I do, if it's on the top or bottom, just put it out front. It just looks better. So the final answer for this one is going to be negative 1 over 3x. And that's it. Okay, we divided the numbers, we divide the like bases, and that gave us the final answer. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next example. We have negative 12, y to the 7th, z to the 5th, x to the 6th, divided by negative 15, x cubed, y to the 10th, z squared. So we're going to go ahead and simplify this numerical fraction, meaning dividing the coefficients. It's a negative over negative, so we know it's going to be positive. 12 over 15 is going to reduce to 4/5, so that's going to be step 1. Step 2, like we said, is going to be arrange alphabetically. So all I'm going to do is make sure my x, y, and z goes in that order on the top, and it's already in that order on the bottom, so I don't have to do anything to the bottom. Okay, so x to the 6th, y to the 7th, z to the 5th is going to be my arrangement. That way, like I said before, and I have like an extra mark here. I can get rid of that. Okay. That way we can line all of these variables up that are the same, like bases, and easily divide them. Okay, so now we have them lined up. Now we can divide the like bases. We have x to the 6th over x cubed, which is just going to give us x cubed on top. We have y to the 7th over y to the 10th. We've learned this shortcut before. Since 10 is on the bottom and it's bigger than 7, we'll just do 10 minus 7 and put the y cubed on the bottom, which is there. Then we have z to the 5th over z squared. 5 minus 2 is 3, and 3 is going to go on the top. So z cubed on top. And that's it. Okay, this one's actually done because there is no simplification to do. So just to reiterate, we started out, whoops, that's the wrong example. We started out with this, which is very complicated. We simplified it down to just 4x cubed z cubed over 5y cubed. That's it. Dividing monomials is actually very simple. Let's take a look at another example. We have 2x to the 7th over y to the 10th x cubed. All right. Now the thing is, there's no number on the bottom, so step 1 is already complete. If there's just a number on the top or just a number on the bottom, you just leave it that way. There's really no work to do. All right, next step is to arrange them, and you can kind of see we're going to put the x first and then the y. That way the x's will line up. So we have 2x to the 7th on top, and then x cubed y to the 10th on the bottom. Now we can already see, even though I didn't line them up perfectly here, x to the 7th over x cubed is just x to the 4th. So that's going to go on top. The 2 stays, like we said before. And then really there's nothing to do with the y because there is no y on top, so we just leave y to the 10th on the bottom. This is going to be our answer, 2x to the 4th, y to the 10th. So sometimes, you don't have like bases. Not all the bases are going to have something else like it. Like, for example, the y to the 10th didn't have another y on top, so you just leave it that way. That's the final answer. I did want to show one more thing here. Or a couple more things. Sometimes you will have decimals for coefficients. It's the same thing there, like 3.2 on the top and 1.6 on the bottom. You're going to get a 2 on the top because it's the same as 32 over 16. Also, I know that the name of this lesson is dividing like monomials, but again, the rules are the same whether or not the exponents are decimals or negative or whatever. You still subtract them. So if you had like x to the 1.5 on top and x to the 0.75 on top, you would still subtract that. 1.5 minus 0.75 would be x to the 0.75. And if it was a fraction, that would go on the top since 1.5 is on the top. So that's it for dividing like monomials. Just rearrange the, divide the numbers, simplify the numeric fraction, reorder the variables, divide like bases, and simplify. If you have any other questions about dividing monomials, let me know.